Hello and welcome to our 11th show, right?
Yes.
Wow, we're almost done with this season.
First season.
I know. When did we start? March?
We started at the beginning of March, guys.
Yeah, that's
wow.
awesome.
We started
High
off a
five.
high five. Yeah. Hold on, let me do it again. High five.
Herculina. I love it. So we're excited to be back and, just to hang out with each other is always such a gift.
I miss you guys when I don't see
Yeah,
y'all.
I miss y'all too, even though I'm really tired.
Me too.
It has been a long day. Typically we film in the mornings,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this is an evening after
sure
traffic
is.
in
Long
Dallas, Texas.
traffic.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Did you know there's construction all over the
But we love TxDOT. You do great work. Finish those roads in Dallas.
Yeah.
Can you go down on the tolls though, please? Thank you.
So we're going to talk about today gender equality, or as we were corrected. Well, we thought it was gender equity, but we've been
I'm
corrected that it's gender equality. I mean,
Equity.
Yes.
I thought it was gender
Yeah.
equality.
So what's the difference? Is there a difference? Mm-hmm.
For at least for me, the definition of gender equity is asking a question more so than gender equality. In that, what kind of investment are we making in gender equality?
Equality.
Mm.
Okay, I can see that.
I can see that too.
Yeah,
That's one
I
going,
can see that.
Because equity is you take a stake, right?
Right.
You have a stake
stake.
in it. So
So how much we are actually investing in that particular gender. In our case, it would be women.
So are we investing in women?
sorry, I got distracted.
There was a sudden movement.
we have an elf in the room
There's
that
a
wasn't
sudden
there.
movement until they went.
Sorry.
He didn't have a little.
Sorry.
Shiny object. Shiny object.
Let me stop.
Okay, start over again.
So I'll start over again. Woosah. So gender equity.
Yeah.
Are we investing in women? It looks like, when you look on television, there are all these shows. Women seem to be everywhere. You're looking at corporations. It looks like it. What's happening?
But is it more of a propaganda versus are we really actually doing something? Because sometimes this is how I feel. If one group or organization is doing something, then here comes another organization, and you've never heard of them before, and then all of a sudden they're concentrating on women and gender equality. So how much of it's actually genuine and how much of it are we actually investing? Like Dallas Women's Foundation, fantastic, phenomenal in what they're doing and how much they're investing.
Shout out if you didn't get that hint.
Yeah.
Go Dallas Women's Foundation.
That's a good hint.
So I'm always curious about that.
Okay, but what are they doing differently that other organizations are not doing?
Okay.
Because I think that's the key difference, and maybe it'll help somebody else out there that actually wants to make a difference the way the Dallas Women's Foundation is and other organizations like them. What is the difference between them and others that have millions of dollars donated to them?
Right.
Take some UN organizations, for instance, that are doing some work across, in the Middle East or in other countries. So what's the difference? And why are we seeing the same type of change here
versus over there?
over there?
But the difference over there is when you look at the UN has set up these millennial development goals, they are really being intentional in terms of looking at education for women and looking at economic development. It's apples to oranges, and when you really think about it, because of what third world countries deal with, on top of the economic piece, disease and war and some of the other things. And I say that's the case for all, but I think that does make a difference in how you deal with it. What makes Dallas Women's Foundation and what you see here work is I think you've got them serving as a catalyst, but they're also mobilizing women. And that makes a difference. It's not just, hey, let's have an event and let's just talk about women's issues and then, clap and feel good about it. I think it really is looking at how do you develop leadership, how do you bring women together to network, to share, and using your money, to put it into causes you believe in and the research that they do.
It's more about the execution then.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And back to what Gauthami said about, kind of pandering, I guess, to women more so than or propaganda, you
Right.
know. Really, I think women, because we are so powerful when it comes to the purse,
Yes, this is true.
you know, I don't think we take advantage of that enough.
Oh, agree.
You know, I mean, if we were to really harness that power that we have monetarily and economically, I think we'd see a lot more difference being made, both in our local, national, and global communities.
I agree.
Do you think because we don't see it outside of the box, do you think that prevents us from investing because we're not looking at the overall picture and what that would have, what kind of effect it would have in the future? Do you think that prevents us from investing and opening our purses, you know?
I think women are doing it, but it's not necessarily as strategic as you see what the Dallas Women's Foundation
Right.
does. One of the things I'm intrigued with is this idea of giving circles. Giving circles traditionally have been started by women and financed by women. And when you're starting to see some of the micro lending that's happening here in this country, it really is a group of women who come together and say, hey, you're having a hard time. We're going to put some money in and support you. I think it's the strategic piece of that. How do we help women go, not just opening your purses, but how do we direct that in a way that helps each other and everybody benefits from it?
Right.
I would love to see us look at, even in this area, how do you start giving circles, you know, that are small amounts of money. Typically, you have to put in like $5,000. Well, for a lot of women, that's a lot of money to put in when you got kids and, you know, responsibilities. But it would be so interesting if a group of women came together and said, let's do a giving circle and really support those causes that impact women and do that across the country.
And as a matter of fact, now that you mentioned that, there's a beautiful circle that just got started here in the Dallas area called the Orchid Giving Circle. I had the opportunity and honor of meeting some of these women at Groundbreakers this Saturday, and they're doing some pretty amazing things.
Talk about them.
Shout out to Orchid Circle. I don't know too much about it, but it's about micro lending, and it's I think it's about 7 to 8 women, and please don't quote me on that. I said that out loud. Okay, but you know, they come together, they have these events and everything, and you know, it's all coming from their pockets to help other organizations that are really focused on women.
I think the gap that I see a lot of is in the socioeconomic gap.
Yes.
To
Agreed.
where women like that are normally wealthy women. And you have to have that $5,000 instead of being able to donate $100.
Right.
You know, I think the gap, even amongst women, is growing larger and larger between the haves and the have-nots.
It is.
So unless we really start to focus on ways to narrow that gap, you know, and to motivate people to take ownership somehow, you know, of the blessings that we've been given and actually want to give back, and not having to have that $5,000, but wanting to donate whatever we can to help someone because somebody has helped me.
Exactly,
Right.
paying it forward, right?
Yeah,
Paying it
exactly,
forward.
because I really think that until the people suffering the most are single mothers.
Yes.
That's the fastest growing poverty level here in Dallas, right?
Right.
So how do we narrow that gap? And I know the Dallas Women's Foundation is really focusing in on that, you know. But I think a lot of times we're so focused on the socioeconomic and the business development skills that we sometimes forget the personal.
Right.
You know, the personal development that has to happen because these women have been either abused a lot of times, they've been traumatized. They are going through trauma because they're trying to feed their kids. So how do you get them out of a mindset that keeps them where they are?
Yeah, because it's like a domino effect,
Yeah.
right? It starts here, then it moves on to the next. Because I think all of that is correlated in some way or fashion, and that's one of the things that I've seen, like on an international level. You know, the women's organizations that I'm seeing internationally, they are kind of focused on some of these causes. You know, gendercide and feticide and domestic violence. Then once you resolve that, then you go up to the next. You know, which is socioeconomic status. So it's one by one by one.
Right.
Well, and that's why the strategy piece is so important, because I think it's very easy to isolate one issue and not look at, there are a number of variables that are involved, even with single women. I remember talking to a nonprofit that's in Keller, and one of the comments they made, and I never thought about this, is they had women who were living in multi-million-dollar homes, and when their husband left, and they had not worked, it threw them into immediate poverty because he had everything. They didn't have the skill set. You know, so it happens across racial divides and even class divides that oftentimes what throws women into poverty quite often is after they have been supported with a husband, or he was the major, you know, breadwinner in the home.
Right.
And so I think it is, to your point, how do we create these safety nets to make sure that women and children are supported, and we're providing, you know, something that's holistic, that's not just let me throw money at you,
Right.
but really give you the skills so that you can be successful.
So we have to learn to empower them beforehand
Yeah.
versus
Right.
after.
Well, and starting when
Yeah,
they're kids. So
exactly.
how do we take girls very young and help them to begin to understand their value, but how they go and acquire tools and skills that gives them even more value?
I agree.
Well, it's just like that campaign that's so beautiful, I think, the Like a Girl. You know, throw like a girl. I mean, all that I think is so essential in the education of young girls. You know, because what is it, between 7 and 12 or after 12 is when they really start to develop self-esteem issues and start not to think that they can anymore,
Yeah.
you know? So programs like that, or developing programs that target girls within those ages between 10 and 15, let's
Exactly.
say,
Right.
you know, where you still catch them where they're feeling empowered and then they stay empowered, you know, throughout their teen life.
And isn't that what they're doing, like with the STEM program? They're trying to get that started as, you know, early as
Right.
possible in elementary school.
Right.
You know, so I think that's a good thing that
Well,
we're doing.
who was it? Was it Target?
Yeah.
That just came out with
With the toys,
Yeah, the
that
toys. There's
article.
no gender.
Yeah.
No, it's just toys.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
fantastic.
do too. I think that's awesome.
that's great.
And really helping young people to see value and not just look at gender. Even though
yeah.
it's important and there are differences,
Absolutely.
it's helping people to see value. I think we're in a society now where, you know, I don't know if you all saw what happened with the presidential debates and the comments, you know, Trump made. But there is such discourse around women that really is negative. You know, and so what are your thoughts around, even though we're talking about trying to create change, there seems to be an element that isn't really interested in seeing women as being equal. I think they say it, but then they have other comments that sometimes negate what they've said.
Well, I found it really interesting after the debate and after because I watched the debate and I heard him say what he said to Megyn Kelly about his remarks, you know, about women. And how he snidely commented it was mainly directed toward Rosie O'Donnell. Not.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
but-
did he say? I didn't even watch the debate that day, so please.
I'm gonna have to paraphrase.
Yeah, I'm
That's
too.
okay.
I'm like, I'll have to paraphrase.
But basically, Megyn Kelly quoted to him
Mm-hmm.
some of the names that he had called women, like a fat pig, or
Yeah.
other derogatory things, you know, that somebody should be on their knees to somebody on The Apprentice, I think, you know, or what looks better on her knees. Comments like that. And she basically called him out on things that had come out of his mouth, right?
Good for her.
And asked him about how presidential that seemed, you know, if that was presidential. And he basically said jokingly that, you know, those comments were just to Rosie O'Donnell. And Megyn Kelly stood straight-faced. I give her credit for that. I mean,
Yeah.
she did not blink, you know. No, and I didn't find it funny. I thought it was rude.
It was
It is
mean
rude.
spirited.
Yeah,
It
it
is
was
mean-spirited.
it's
Very,
very
very
mean. And so anyway, afterwards, he made a comment that, or he insinuated, even though he says he didn't, that Megyn was on her period, on her cycle,
Yes.
He did not.
and it was
Yes.
hormonal
Yes.
because she had come
Yes.
at him with these questions, and it's like all she did was use your words. But here's what I found really interesting, and reading social media, you know, and people's remarks,
Yeah.
is that some women actually defended his remarks.
That's what gets me.
And I'm thinking, seriously? You know, how can you defend those remarks? Even if you are Republican, conservative,
Yeah.
whatever.
Has nothing to do with the
It has
political
nothing-
affiliation.
No.
It's insulting
Yeah.
and degrading.
It's
Well,
very insulting.
And for
degrading.
me, what is the true issue, and you're seeing this, whether it's the issue, you know, that just happened in Arlington with the young man, not to get into that because we're talking about gender equity, at the core of what's happening is a loss of respect for humanity.
Yes.
That I'm not able to look at you as an equal person and value your life
Right.
unless you think like me and you're like, you know, just like me. And it bothered me because he basically started to discredit her journalistic skills, that you know, she, in essence, she's a loser and I don't really like what she does. And it's like, why do we have to go to the core of attacking people and looking at them as less than to make ourselves feel like we're okay and justified in being wrong. And I don't understand how it's okay. If you're wrong in what you said, when do we begin to own up to it and go, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things. I don't like this person. But own that you weren't right instead of going, I'm going to deflect and I'm going to be, immature and I'm going to attack you and make you look less than. That's the problem.
I'm curious to know what his wife and daughter have to say. I would love to hear what they have to say, because it is insulting. I would have probably...
Well, his multiple wives, but let's let that go. I mean, it's been interesting just, seeing how people can attack other folks and not take the mirror and look at themselves and go, maybe I need to do some self-reflection before I begin to attack and look at how that impacts my daughters and my past wives and all those things. So it's just been interesting watching the commentary as of late, on Twitter. And I try to stay off of social media because sometimes people, armchair conversations make me cringe. And then you look at their lives and you're going, how do you talk about somebody else? Okay, hope it works for you. But just seeing the commentary, it's been very hostile lately toward women.
Very hostile. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think what it shows and what I come away with after this is Americans are so sick of normal politics that they're willing to overlook something like this character flaw, for lack of a better phrase, because they are so sick of politics as usual and politicians as usual.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, they find him refreshing because he's willing to tell it like it is, and he has no qualms about
that's
whatever
fine.
He says.
I get that. That's fine. Okay, Donald Trump is going to be Donald Trump. That's never going to change. But there's got to be a level of dignity.
Well, it's not presidential, and it's not even gentlemanlike.
Well, but I think we've become, because of social media, in one way it has brought us closer to the world. And in that closeness, I think we've lost sight of what politeness is and issues of character and what does that mean and how does that translate in other places. So I think there's something that's lost and there's a disconnect there. To your point, I think he is saying what a lot of people think anyway. And so he's just verbalizing what a lot of people have felt and, just did anonymous Facebook pages and put it out there anyway. So I think that there is some, opportunity for people to have conversations around, okay, he's saying this. There are people agreeing with him. Why?
But for the sake of insulting, though, I mean, yeah, you can convey your message, but put it in a way that's not going to be insulting. Still be you, Donald Trump, but, have a little bit of a filter.
But that gets you, but let's think about that even with our media. That's what gets people ratings. People aren't, let's be honest, people don't necessarily want to watch not everybody, but there obviously is a population of people who enjoy reality TV and trash stuff, and I have been one of those folks too.
I'm guilty for it.
And so there obviously is something in us that makes us lean toward the insulting and degrading more than it does at times a positive. And as a society, I think, it's time to have some conversations as to why do we lean toward that and we're getting meaner. And we look at, crimes and see things happening, people turn their heads and don't want to pay attention to it. I think we really have to get back to how do we begin to see people for being human and having hearts. And even if they make bad decisions, everybody deserves a chance. Yeah. And it's a much bigger issue, I think, at stake than just even him. I think he represents what is the symptom of our society right now.
So what can we do better, do you think, as far as gender equity is concerned? What are we not doing, or what's not being done that needs to be done or needs to be more of?
I mean, we're talking about money and stuff like that. Why do we need riches to do this? Why can't we just start at the grassroots level? Those of us that are thinking about this, we need to speak up, we need to speak out and get something started. It doesn't have to start here. It can start as low as right here.
I think it's mentoring. I'm really big on relationship stuff. You notice I talk about conversations, and I just want kumbaya and everybody just to love each other.
Networking.
Yes, let's love each other in a good, healthy
Social
way.
capital.
No, in an HR appropriate way.
that word.
Let me
Social
correct
capital.
it in an HR appropriate way that we love each other, because some people could take that another way. That's another topic.
You
But
complete me.
I love it. And so, you know, for me, how do you help people who have resources begin to use those resources and share it with people who do not? So creating opportunities for women to mentor, whether that's formal or the informal shadowing that people do. I think that's going to help change it. Programs, supporting programs, the giving circle. How do you take your money, you know, and begin to help empower women? I think there are a couple of things we can do.
One of the downfalls that I've seen, and my friend and I were talking about this not too long ago, sometimes women are so about just, okay, I need to have one up on you. I need to have one up on the other. It's not about helping and empowering each other. It's like, okay, I'm going to throw you under the bus so I can get my way. And that's really sad. It shouldn't be like that. We should be supporting each other. We should be, you know, empowering each other. So that whole, we've got to put those egos aside, drop the E and just go.
Yeah.
I like that. So maybe that's what we end on, huh? Is that we just drop the E and just go. So thank you for tuning in to our 11th 11th episode, and stay tuned for 12.
Yes. See you later.
See you later. Bye-bye.